Welcome to my new interview series titled Just Talking, a series where I interview my fellow indie comic book writers about various topics like the landscape of the industry, their approach to the craft, the future of indie comics, and so much more. I believe that in today's landscape, there isn't a whole lot of love for indie writers because at the end of the day, the art and the artist is king in this field, and rightfully so. They deserve all the accolades, all the praise they get for the work they produce in the indie sphere and beyond. However, I believe that indie writers like myself and others out there in the indie sphere don't get enough credit for the amount of work that we put in to produce our own comic books. I decided to start the series to give an insight as to how much effort, time, and blood, sweat, and tears gets put into creating and producing these indie books, and how important it is for someone like myself and others out there to develop not only our own writing style and approach to storytelling, but the importance of the production side of things, like a budget, hiring the right artist team, executing the story in the way that needs to be executed, and so on and so forth. In today's episode, I interview the creator and writer of Roy Beckwith and the Cursed Continent that is currently live on Kickstarter by the name of Nick Patch. During our talk, Nick shares the method to his madness, or as he calls it, his mad scientist approach to developing his stories and plot for his works, whether it be a screenplay, a comic book, what was supposed to be just an hour talk turned into this 2-hour discussion, a deep discussion about comics, screenwriting, and the method to his madness, which I believe you'll find enlightening at the end of the interview. So sit back and enjoy our talk, as it was both interesting and insightful. Don't forget to hit the like, sub, and leave a comment to let me know if you enjoyed this kind of content for future episodes. And until then, enjoy. Nick, welcome to the show, man, to Just Talking.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. It's not easy to be in the indie sphere as a writer, especially I think as an artist, writers are willing to actually like pay you for your services, and as a writer, no one wants to do that for you.
Yeah,
no
dude, seriously.
No artist is out there messaging 5 different writers to try and get them to commission a script.
Absolutely.
It's the opposite. So it can be tough, but if you want to do it, you'll do it, and we want to do it. So
and it's also very it's very gratifying when you start getting the pages in and the book starts to come together, and you start to see how everything that you thought up here is now on paper, not by you directly in terms of art, but in words. You wrote it down in words, describing what you wanted to see on the page, and the artist goes and takes that and interprets it the way they feel is the closest to what we want on the page, and then we just go like the back and forth, right? So it's very gratifying. Do you have the same kind of sense that it's very gratifying for you when you do get the pages coming back into you?
Oh yeah, 100%. Maybe I I bug my artist too much because of how gratifying it is, Hey, get that. Can I see that? I want to see that. Where are you at with that? So it is. It's similar because I come from a film background. When you see, even before you're filming, I kind of would go through a lot of process, and one of the steps in the process would be table reads. And
all right, I love those.
Oh yeah, they're fun. Yeah, and just sitting down with actors, reading your words and having this kind of back and forth in this energy, and now it's not finished, obviously. It's just a bunch of people at a table reading, but that on its own is gratifying. So even just getting layouts from my artist you could kind of say is the equivalent to like a table read for a screenplay.
I can see that.
And that's still very, very cool to see. Very gratifying.
Now, you said you were from, your background is screenplay writing and everything, screenwriting,
And
um,
directing.
and direct. Oh, okay, and directing.
Mhm.
I'm the same way too. I studied film for a lot of years in college, but I still had the love for comic books there. And for a while there, the lines blurred between the two, where I thought, oh, it's kind of like nothing. It's kind of almost similar as storyboard, telling when you're setting up the storyboards for your camera shots and what
Oh,
have
in
you.
a way, yeah. Hmm.
In a way, it is, but not really. As of course, the more I got into and understanding what sequential storytelling was all about, is when it finally broke it. The line no longer was blurred. It was a distinction between the two. There is a distinction between the two. One, on the film, the cinematic side is you have a camera that's rolling, right, and it's capturing a bunch of frames at the same time, and that's how you get the talking pictures and the cinematic approach to storytelling. Whereas sequential is still kind of, I guess, connected to it in a way, but the upside to sequential storytelling is that the artist has a lot to play with in terms of angles, in terms of how they position the characters, in terms of how they laid down the panels. Sometimes it's flat wide boxes, sometimes it's long vertical boxes, borderless panels, or panels where the characters stick out from the panel, or maybe just some crazy angles where you're like, dude, I don't even know how you got that angle, but it's great. Where a camera won't be able to do those angles, those kind of cool,
Hmm.
warped,
Yeah,
Jack
I see what you
Kirby.
mean.
Yeah, Jack Kirby-esque, like the hand right there in the forefront, and you
Oh
can see the
yeah.
body kind of going down, the dynamic shot, as they call it. And so, since you have a screenwriting background, is that something that influenced you in your comic book writing when you decided to actually cross over to comics?
Well, because I do think it's similar, and I see what you're saying. As far as there's a lot more freedom with like aspect ratio and
Right. Yeah.
things like that, and things breaking through panels. Obviously, it's a different medium, but like um, storytelling is storytelling. And
Ah.
if you break it down, it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Absolutely. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
so doing it in film, it's kind of exercising. It's almost like if you're doing a bench press, you're exercising your triceps and your chest. But if you're
Right.
doing pull downs, you're only exercising your triceps. So it's like going from film, I'm only exercising kind of the sequential part, and there's none of the um, there's but with comics, there's like no sounds. I can't.
Right. Right.
Yeah, there's no music. There's like there. So, but I'm still using a lot of the same muscles, but some I'm not using, and some I'm now working out more. So there's overlap for sure. I really like because I do think of things cinematically. So when I'm writing the script, like things will be for the comic book, it'll be reveals, and
Mm.
like the camera angle is here. I'll even put that in, but I do try to leave some freedom. I'll say this. Basically, like me and my artist Jarrett, we know like if I say this is this way, then it means do it that way. But if I say I'm picturing it this way, then that means do whatever you think is best, but that's where my head's at, you know.
I see. Is that
Um,
how you write the script to your comic book script? Is you kind of,
yeah, that's what,
if you
yeah,
know
that's
for sure the kind of angle you're looking for, you specifically write it down, and then you let the artist say, okay, I want this shot here, and then the other panels maybe like,
mhm.
this is what I'm thinking, so have at it. Is that kind of
Yes.
your approach to it?
Yeah,
Mm.
so I will think of angles and things like that. And yeah, the way I write it in the script, like I'm thinking this way. So then he knows, oh, he can play with it. But if I say it should be this way, then that means do it that way. But I'm still just thinking of angles. So then he gets to say, well, should this be a really wide panel or a really tall panel or a series of square panels or whatever it is that he wants to do. as far as that's concerned, because coming from film, I don't think about that very much at all. And I've done some comics and stuff like that, but like my own like layouts and stuff,
Right.
but not like I don't have a lot of experience. So like Jarrett will come in and he'll do some wild stuff, like have a in one of the preview pages for Roy Beckwith, like Roy is full body on the left, top to bottom, and then there are panels stacked on the right side of him. And I would have never thought to do that.
Yeah.
But it looks really cool.
Yeah, and that's part of the uniqueness of the comic book medium, is that you could do stuff like that. You can mess around with the positioning and the layouts, and because in my opinion, the great comic book storytellers are the ones who actually do explore how far they can take the medium. And Alan Moore has been quoted saying that we haven't even scratched the surface as to what the comic medium can offer storytellers, because we're accustomed to what we know, right? The grid system, like the 9-panel grid system or the panel grid system, that kind of thing, or the stuff that came out in the 90s that was really art that just popped out of the page, that kind of deal. But in terms of storytelling, yeah, I agree with Alan Moore. I believe what he meant by that is the fact that we can tell any kind of story and not be held down by anything other than a lack of a good artist, I guess, or lack of imagination.
I'd like to point out one example before we move on, is that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo in the New 52 did where Batman he's trapped in a maze and he's kind of losing his mind. I don't know if you've seen this book.
I haven't seen that one, no.
Yeah, so he's kind of like losing his mind, and as you're reading, so like the page will change orientation, so now it's horizontal instead of vertical, if that makes sense. So like you're reading the page sideways, and then it flips again, and then it'll flip the other way, and like you get disoriented and reread the same page over on accident.
There you go.
So that was really cool. That broke my mind. Yeah.
No, that's a great example.
Crazy things with comics.
There you go. That's a great example of that, and it's unique to comics. I mean, you could do the same thing with film as well. You could just turn the camera upside down, or as or like Christopher Nolan did for Inception, which the scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is fighting one of the men, and they're fighting on the ceiling and on the side wall.
Yeah,
and practical, a very practical shot.
Like rewatch some of it. You're not gonna like find yourself, because that's part of what it is for Batman, is like, have I been here before? Like I feel like I've been here. And
that's great. That's great that he did that.
Yeah, he's really cool. Scott Snyder is one of the better writers out there right now.
Oh yeah, he's definitely top shelf. Or he's proven it to me anyway. Because at first, for a while there, I'll admit, I thought he was okay, because I've read some of the stuff before, but Absolute Batman has convinced me that this guy's legit. This guy is like top tier.
Yeah, I wish I would have been reading along, but I hear a lot of good things about it.
Dude, it's a great series, man. It really is one of the best. I was a little disappointed by the last 2 issues because, I mean, do you mind if I spoil it for you, or do you want to actually read it one day and not know?
I really might forget. You can go ahead.
Well, there's a issue where Batman, an absolute Batman, he finds this underground city underneath Gotham, like this full-on city, but he finds out it's a prison city. It's a city that's just a prison, this huge prison, right? And when he's investigating, that's when we get introduced to Bane, and then Bane beats him up, and then captures him. And the next issue, they torture the crap out of Bruce Wayne in that issue. And every time he tries to escape, they catch him. He's like right there before he's about to escape, and Bane catches up to him and takes him back to his cell. And at the end of that issue, they made it appear as if he got transformed into a soldier of Bane at the end of that issue. And it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, we're going to take it. Where are they going to take it from here? Right. Because I thought that they actually broke him. and it got me excited because I was curious to see how Scott Snyder was going to
totally different people.
A totally different storyteller for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was curious to see how he was going to get him out of it, because that's always something that excites me in the story, or that's something that always I love about a writer's work, is that when they put a character in a situation, I'm always curious how are they going to get him out of here. I'm curious to see what the writer did, what he's going to do. And it turns out it didn't even happen. It was actually Alfred's, like, I guess, worst case scenario that he was thinking in his head.
I prefer that at the beginning of an issue than at the end, and then we find out at the beginning of the next issue that it was a dream. You know what I mean? Like I prefer that to like that. The reveal that it was just a dream feels cheap unless it comes right. It needs to come directly after, not a month later.
It's still cheap. It's so cliche now for me. Like, I just can't do it anymore. It's like that's been done already. Like we've seen it, guys. Like, okay, it was cool the first few times when the other writers did it, but come on, can we challenge ourselves at least just to tell a great story, a memorable story? And that's what's lacking in today's market, is that there's not a lot of memorable stories, with the exception of currently Absolute Batman. More and more people are talking about it. Like the other day when I went to the comic shop, I saw this, she must have been maybe 20 or 21, this girl walking in, walks up right up to the cashier and says, "Where's your Absolute Batman at?" And they pointed her to it, and she just went right for it, grabbed her copies, maybe looked around, the wall for other stuff, but she's had that one copy, went, bought it, and left. And then when I left, when I left, I saw her reading the issue in her car in the parking lot.
Huh? She couldn't even wait. Darn.
She couldn't even wait. And that's how it used to be back in the day. You couldn't wait for to get home, to get to the to read your book. You read it right at the parking lot. So that tells me that Scott Snyder really got something here special with Absolute Batman. So it's a good thing. I'm glad that it's happening.
Yeah, that's got to be a, you should tweet that at him. I bet he'd find that really, really cool, to know that people can't even wait until they get home to read the new issue. That's really cool. That's
really cool, and I'm happy to see that. I wanted to ask you, I was just curious, the difference that you see, since you've been involved in film, between working with an artist who's drawing your vision as opposed to a bunch of other people, different components that's bringing your vision that you wrote as a screenplay to life. What's the difference between the two? Or what are the similarities between the two?
Yeah, I actually find it really similar, like incredibly similar. As a director, as a writer-director, you have a story and a vision for it, and then you're not just dictating that onto the crew and the actors, but like I've said before on your show, is that everything's a dance. It's a dance between me and the cinematographer, and me and the actors, and me and even the sound designer and the guy doing the score. It's a back and forth. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? Oh, actually, that's a great idea that you just brought up. The person I'm doing the dance with, we should incorporate that. That's something I didn't even think of. That is, makes it better. Because I knew that I wanted this to be impactful in this way. I didn't think of what that person thought of, say the guy doing the score or the cinematographer. I didn't think of doing that suggestion to make it impactful in that way. I just knew I wanted it impactful in that way. Maybe I had other plans of my own, but what they thought of was better for the vision. Like the big thing with directing is you're steering the ship in a certain direction. Yeah. But you're not dictating, this is when you drop the sails. This is when you swab the deck, whatever it is. I don't know all of the
Yeah,
I'm
all the
trying to use
terms.
an ocean metaphor. I don't do any of that. But you're not dictating all of the details, but you're dictating the direction and then collaborating on the details.
So
I
it
think
sounds to
that's
me
very
that
similar with comic books.
yeah, it sounds to me that it's you just have multiple partners to dance with on a film set as opposed to one partner in a comic book. Well,
Or
I
for
guess
me, it's two. Yeah.
because I'm also thinking about the colorist. I'm also thinking about the inker if you do have an inker or if you have a letterer. Because
Yeah, a
there's
lot of the time it
pretty
is
more people.
4 people. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of the time it's pencil, ink, color, and letter. For me though, I'm lettering, and then Jarrett, the pencil, he does inks, and he works digitally. So like, I don't know, these terms are now just like carried over from the traditional medium. So he's not really penciling or inking anything, but he's doing all the line work. So cutting out a couple steps, a couple collaborators where I'm doing the lettering and he's doing all the line work. So yeah, it's just 3 of us. And like I would say I'm steering the ship in a direction, obviously, because I wrote it and like I kind of know where we're headed and I know all the details that they don't know yet about like the future of the plot and everything like that.
Right.
But as in terms of how we're gonna get there, they have a lot of say and there's a lot of collaboration there and how we want it to look. And like Fabi doing colors, she picks the palettes. She knows like based on the script, she kind of can determine tone and she has a lot of say in that.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Jarrett obviously, like we were talking about with panel layouts and like he does character design. Like I haven't done any of that. So like I mean I'll say like I picture this guy like kind of like Wyatt Earp from Tombstone. I could say that. And then he'll take it and he'll take that and like go a little bit where he wants to go with that while keeping the spirit of what I was telling him, while keeping that in mind and keeping that alive. So yeah, it's really interesting. He did the Yazito witch design, and all I said was, she's the Yazito tribe is a made up tribe that I made up based on Quechon tribes, and they're in the middle of the Mojave. So like go and look up all that stuff if you would, Jarrett, and make a design based on like their traditional garb and everything like that. And he did, and I think it's a really unique character design and really fits the time period and her character. So yeah, it's a dance for sure. Keep it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the meat of the matter. Your writing approach. I'm always curious to know what other writers, how they approach their storytelling, not just their storytelling, but their stories. I know some people, they outline stuff. Some people brainstorm. Some people free write. Like I'm one of those. I love free writing. So if I have an idea for something, just a seed of like of a scenario or a line or a title, then I sit down. And I just kind of like stream of consciousness kind of deal where I just start making stuff up. Just get it out. And then just anything that doesn't make sense, I just put it out. I don't care. I just type it out. And then I wait about a day or two, and I reread it. And then when I reread it, then I start to go, okay, I can get rid of this. I could move this up here, and so on and so forth. What's your Nick Patch? What's your approach to writing stories?
Oh yeah, I'm totally the opposite. I mean, so like I kind of go through phases, and you described one of the phases, which is like you got some ideas, just throw it out there, just do it. Dan Harmon, who wrote Rick and Morty, half of it, he was like the co-creator, and Community, he was like the main creator on that, showrunner on Community. He did Monster House too, as well. There's not a Monster House 2. There's only the original Monster House.
I see. Okay.
Which I saw when I was growing up and scared the crap out of me, and I loved the movie. But anyway, so Harmon would say, just crap it out and fix it, because it's easier to fix something that's bad than to crap out something that's perfect. So just get it out. Yeah. Get it out and then fix it, which is like basically what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I do take and I apply a lot more like crazy structure that is kind of mad science-y.
Really?
After the
Okay. Like
fact.
in what way? In what way? What exactly do you do?
So,
I mean, unless you don't want to give out your craft secrets, which I understand that some
no,
people don't like to share that. So
I'm of a firm belief that I'll still do it better anyway, which may or may not be egotistical, but I welcome competition, because if someone can take what I'm doing and do well with it, then that just proves that I was onto something.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like Elon Musk, for example. He makes all of his patents free to use for all of his competitors, which, bold. But also, like, because I just care about storytelling, like, in general. And so even if what I'm doing is like, it's the only reason to keep it secret is because you think it's really awesome, and then also you're really selfish and you want to be the only one to have the cool thing. So I don't want to do that. I'd rather, like, if I think it's useful and it's going to help some storytellers tell better stories that are more helpful to the readers and more entertaining, and it's awesome. Doesn't hurt me. Hopefully they give me my flowers if they did take my system and use it. But yeah, so it's pretty crazy. I mentioned Dan Harmon. So he kind of took the hero's journey. I'm curious to know, before I dive in, what do you know about the hero's journey from and I keep almost saying J. Scott Campbell, but it's Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell, yeah, it's Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, it's not.
What do I think of it?
Campbell, the different.
What do I think of it in terms of what?
Or do you know? And what do you know of it? Yeah, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Like, what do you know about it? And
I know all about Joseph Campbell. I studied Joseph Campbell for a year or two. Just anything I could find on YouTube, interview wise, I would just consume. I bought some of his books. I bought the Hero 1,000 Faces, I believe the name of the book is called.
No, that's right.
And there's other books that have come out that kind of were where writers would take Joseph Campbell's, I guess, formula of what he discovered when he studied all the different myths and stories that were part of all these different cultures that, from the ancient past and the current past, and used it as examples of how movies and famous books used that formula for their stories. I think it's personally, everyone should study it. That's my opinion. I believe every writer should study it. You may not like it in terms of what he believes is like the consensus of the universal story of the hero journey, but it's kind of, it's a reflection of real life, honestly, if we want to really break it down to the core. And that is that I think the formula is, the character is in their world, right? It's peaceful. It's nothing's happening. They're living their everyday life, and they get taken out of that element, and they have to figure out how to get through the adversarial scenarios that occur. And then once they get through it, they go back home, but they're not the same. They're either grown, they have battle scarred, whatever the case may be. And I think that's kind of how life is. Sometimes we live life and it's fine, but then something goes down, right? You lose your job, your girlfriend breaks up with you, you lose a family member to a horrible accident, whatever the case, or you get robbed, and that's taken out of your safe, I guess, your safe space, for lack of a better term, and you have to deal with the consequences of that action. And so I 100% utilize Joseph Campbell's formula, and I still study with Joseph Campbell to this day, just to kind of refresh every time I feel like I'm stuck on a story. But what do you feel? What do you personally feel about the Joseph Campbell approach, the hero's journey?
I think he was on to something. I think that if you look at like what his formula is, and you mentioned some of it, like what you were talking about is like just one principle of the entire formula, but a lot of what he has is what I would consider like unnecessary tropes. Like they just are tropes. Not everyone has a mentor. Not everyone's mentor dies, like midway through their journey. Like there's a lot more things, like the meeting with the goddess, the battle with the brother, all these things, not really necessary. And I think that Campbell, in order to kind of solidify his those points in his formula, he left out a lot of things that are counter to them, a lot of examples. He would purposefully ignore certain examples from mythology in order to be able to, so that it wouldn't disprove one of the points in his formula. But I do think he was onto something. What you were describing is one of the things he was really onto. That's part of it that's really true 100% to life. And that needs to, that's something that every writer needs to understand. And there's more to it. However, I think that he made it more complex than it needed to be. And there are tropes in there that don't need to be in there. And I think Save the Cat, same thing. If you it's a structure for Hollywood writers that a lot of people use. There's like 32 plot points in that. And one of them's called Fun and Games. It's like, why do we have this here? This doesn't need to be here. This is just like, I think that what happens a lot of the times, these people, and Campbell too, is they are looking at something on the surface and then they list a bunch of things that on the surface are there. But that's just the surface. They're not getting underneath, and Campbell got underneath better than I think like Save the Cat did. I actually think Save the Cat kind of ruined Hollywood. Partially. You're laughing.
Honestly, I agree. Because a lot of the time, as I was guilty of at one point in my life, is that you kind of take that formula and you use it as gospel. You use it as like a for sure formula that can get you success. When in reality, you find out, when I read Robert McKee's story, which totally flipped the Save the Cat thing for me, or not flipped, but kind of shattered it. The whole, the Save the Cat, things can do no wrong kind of deal. The mentality I had, which was, you got to take something that's part of the human experience, and that's how you get people to connect with your story. And he mentioned that, you can't have formula. And formulas are great, like Robert McKee mentioned in his book. They're great. They're useful. They work. And especially if you master it. However, if you don't have that human element in your story, you're not going to connect with anyone. Mm-hmm. And you can have the best written, screenplay. You can have the structure and the formatting perfectly. It's that joke, right? Have you seen that movie Adaptation with Nicolas Cage?
No, I haven't.
So it's Nicolas Cage plays.
In my defense,
what's that?
He's in a lot of movies. In my defense.
Oh yeah, but this movie was like from 2000, I think 2001 or 2002. Okay. Spike Jonze directed it, and Charlie Kaufman was the screenwriter of that movie. And Nicolas Cage plays Charlie Kaufman as like a spoof of himself. And there's a scene where he's talking to his agent, right, about selling his screenplay. There's the running joke in the movie is that every single person that's a Hollywood person talks to him, they keep mentioning how his twin brother's screenplay that they read had, oh man, the formatting is great, the structure is phenomenal. Like they keep mentioning that, where his character is all about like finding the human connection for his story. So I thought that was a funny joke that it reminded me of that when you mentioned that. But
oh no, yeah. I mean, that's funny. Like they're both necessary.
Yes,
but the producers seem to go back and forth between them over the year, and executives as well. And yeah, I think that's an interesting quote. Interested to see that movie. But yeah, so it's interesting to know that you also read Robert McKee's story. That was a friend lent me that book years and years ago. But he tries to kind of get more to the building blocks of a story instead of a formula of a story, right?
Right. Which is why I like. I don't know. Were you a fan of the book? Did you think it was a very useful book?
I think that there was a lot of good stuff in it. I think that, however, like a lot of books on writing, a lot of the advice in it is not incredibly actionable, and it's kind of amorphous.
Really?
If that makes sense. A lot of it is actionable, but a lot of it's anamorphous, which is like, this is the whole thing that I've been trying to remedy in the writing advice sphere. Is like, you'll see people talk about, oh, you need to have a through line. Have you heard that line? Like, your character needs to want something, and that needs to stay there through the whole movie. And we need that. The whole plot needs to kind of feed that. And it's like, okay, now how do you take action on that? Like, it's an anamorphous idea, you know. But like,
Well, give me an
really
example of that. Can you give me an example of that?
Of like how to.
I tend to agree on the through line. You know, that whole like your character must want something, because that's when you boil it down, every character in every story in every movie has a want or a need.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that. It just doesn't seem like actionable beyond give them something that they want. Like how do you make sure that there's that through line through the whole film or through the whole story or whatever?
Well, that's the challenge of the writer, don't you think? To figure that out?
I think there's some science behind, like, or maybe not science, but science is like the process of finding the truth or whatever. So that's maybe not science, but like there's more that you can do down in the like in the details and in structure that will make that happen. And now you don't have to be focused on it all the time, because the structure and the way you execute the story, that's going to stay there. Like, that's always going to be there, because it's what's creating the plot. Some of the best writing advice, which is a little more actionable, that I saw was from the South Park writers, which is about, you may have seen this clip. It's a famous clip.
Is it the one where they're in the classroom?
Yeah. And then,
therefore, the character does it. Therefore, for sure.
Instead of this happened and then this happened and then this happened, which is
right.
Yes, that's not a story. That's like just things happening.
Yeah. Right.
And if you're Ryan Johnson and can make things really pretty, then you can get like 20,000 people to shill for you on Twitter for the rest of their life. For some reason.
Really? Are you're not a fan of Ryan Johnson?
No.
I must be in the minority then. I must be in the minority.
Him if you like him. You know, everyone.
No, I watched. I discovered him. I discovered him like as if I signed him or anything. I mean, I discovered his work when he did Brick, his first indie film with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I
Have you
didn't
seen them?
see Brick. I guess the first one I saw from him was Looper.
Oh, okay, yeah. You weren't a fan of Looper?
Not really. I think it actually like broke its own time travel rules and changed its own time travel rules like midway through.
Oh, yeah, because he killed himself.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
right.
it's all and that's what Ryan Johnson does is he just says, "Well, I'm gonna subvert your expectations." And he's like on record saying this. That's what he
For the
focuses
sake for the sake of
on.
subverting it, right? Not because of
Yeah,
the
for the sake of subverting it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
I can see that. I can see that.
yeah, so it's like in The Last Jedi, we're gonna make you think that it's a really important thing and her parents are someone important and that yada yada yada, and then you're gonna find out they're nobody. You didn't expect that, did you? And you know, yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No.
or Glass
Again, we
Onion,
can.
where he literally planted. Anyway, I don't know if you saw Glass Onion, but there's a scene in it where you see someone poking out from behind a tree and checking in on someone, and because it's like a murder mystery.
Yeah. I saw that movie.
Yeah, and then
I liked it too.
later you see that same scene, but now there's someone behind that person now in the same shot. So like he literally added something in there that wasn't there so that he could subvert your expectations, which I just find to be I just find that lazy. And if you enjoy the movie, you enjoy the movie. Like this is what I would say about Ryan is if he can't change the script, I would hire him to direct my script in a heartbeat because he makes things really pretty. He can give energy to a scene. He really and I think that's why the Fly episode of Breaking Bad is so good because he directed that.
Right.
But he didn't write it. So like, I think he's a talented enough director that he can kind of make you not realize that he's not a very talented writer. That's what I think. So
if that's a fair observation, that's what you captured. So now that you're mentioning it, I'm starting to be convinced of it now. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even notice that because I was distracted by the flowery scenes and the energy of the scenes that he directs.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
and
right.
I could break down Knives Out, like and tell you exactly why it's broken and all that in the writing. No reason to, but like, yeah, he's not the best writer, but he's a good director. But back on to the that's the and then storytelling he has.
Right.
But it needs to be therefore or but. But I think a but still needs to but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Maybe you could call it a however instead.
Right. Yeah. That's a little better. Yeah. It's a little better.
Yeah. So if you have a however, that however needs to be a therefore of something else that was in the plot. It can't just be now something random happens that's going to get in the way. It's more like that still needs to be caused by something. And I think about like the Big Bang when I think about this, right? It's like everything was nothing at the start. And then because of the direction that everything was headed at the beginning, now we're here where we're at billions of years later. And that was all not necessarily predetermined because I do believe in free will, but like it's kind of that principle is everything like that's happened, especially like before humans showed up. It's like everything that happened in the universe, you could say could have been predicted if you knew enough about where everything was headed after the Big Bang. And so I think that's kind of how storytelling should be is you start at zero and everything is established and given a trajectory. And so even if there is a however, that however is grounded in that beginning and the directions everything was headed rather than just like a random however thrown in. Everything needs to be a therefore, even a however, in my opinion.
No, that's good. That's a good opinion. No, that's a very fair opinion. And I agree with you that was that clip was probably the best breakdown of what a story is supposed to be. They're given by
Oh yeah.
anybody, and it was just a 2-minute clip, 3-minute clip,
Oh,
like
it's
a
short.
breakdown.
Yeah, I think
It
it
was
was
super
in
short.
their documentary about uh, the human centipede episode,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
had that like thrown in there.
And no,
But
and they're right. They're absolutely right, which is the reason why they've been able to withstand. What was it now? 20 years now, to 30 years that they've been doing South
bro,
Park.
they were like mid-90s, so like
Yeah.
30
So
years. Yeah,
yeah, 30 years. So
you
and
say
and
95 here.
still going strong because they kept the fundamental understanding of what a story is supposed to be intact,
Mm-hmm.
and thankfully they didn't rely too heavily on writing staff. I mean, they have a writing staff, but it's short. From what I understand, it's very minimal. It's like maybe they only have like 2 or 3 extra writers that they help with, write
Yeah,
out the script and everything.
I think like The Simpsons was really good as well, especially during like what you would consider their golden age, which
Oh
had
yeah, yeah.
I really don't want to get his name wrong. I think it's Brad Bird, but
It was Brad Bird.
he did the Iron Giant and Ratatouille,
Yep.
and I'm sure some other stuff. But he's a fantastic writer. He really
Yes.
knows what's up. So
Yeah.
he was like
Yes.
the head editor or something for The Simpsons during their
Yeah, I remember seeing his name. I remember I would see his name, and then when the Incredibles came out, I was like, I
The
wonder if that's the
Incredibles.
same
Yeah,
Brad.
that's right. I knew
Yeah,
he had another one. Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if this is the same Brad Bird, that I see on the Simpsons, and I correlated the two because Simpsons were great when I saw his name on there, and Incredibles was fantastic. So I'm like, maybe it is the same guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm. And it
but
was.
now that
He's fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, you're right, you're absolutely right, which is why I was dumbfounded that Marvel didn't hire him to write and direct the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, I didn't even know
It,
that was on the table.
I mean, it probably wasn't on the table because Tomorrowland, which was the last movie he made for Disney, bombed really bad.
Mhm. I didn't watch
And
it. I haven't heard amazing things about it.
I heard it was not good. And I think it was because of student meddling. And you know how that goes when studios get involved and they meddle in your work, they ruin it. They water it down. They,
Could be, yeah. I think that people also like once they've seen success, they get prideful.
yeah,
And
they get
that
blinded
could
by
be
their
the case as
arrogance
well.
for
Yeah, because I
sure.
didn't like Incredibles 2. And he did that one as well.
Yeah, I still enjoyed it. It wasn't as strong as the first one.
Oh yeah, hardly,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember much about it. I watched it multiple times because my nieces were watching it when I was watching it.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is a forgettable movie.
Yeah,
for
right.
sure. The first one's not. The first one I could watch over and over again and never get bored. Never get bored.
I love the first one. Me and my brother were watching it recently because we rent together, and we had to stop it and rewind it when Violet says the only normal one here is Jack, and he's not even toilet trained. And then Jack looks at his mom dead face like, do you hear what she just said? And then he just bursts out laughing.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere. And we had to pause. It was just the timing on that was just so perfect.
It was superb. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so these writers, like, they understand that principle. And Brad Bird as well, I think, on top of just the therefores that he gets, like, he really gets character. And he gets what drives people and that whole sort of thing, which is another thing that I've really tried to make less anamorphous for myself. And it's hard for me to go out there when I haven't really done anything like of note and then try and preach it on other people. But eventually maybe like I'll be able to convince some people it's important and make it less anamorphous for them. But it's like the thing of a through line of desire and like how fear affects us and like all of that stuff. And a lot of the advice you'll find is anamorphous, but it's not like concrete in like how you would execute that. So that's kind of what I've tried to do is just like make things less vague and more actionable. And I think that's been missing for a long, just in general, it's been missing on like, how do you really execute this stuff? Because a lot of people can tell you what's wrong with your thing, but they couldn't
Yeah.
give you like good advice on how to fix that.
No, they can't.
Right.
That's why it's that's why you, whenever writers, this is what I always try to tell indie writers: when you hear feedback from readers, try to get to the core of what didn't work for them, because readers for the most part don't understand story structure or character development, because they don't know the tools of that trade, because they just consume. They have an idea of it because they've consumed so much material over the years because of media, the movies, TV shows, novels, what have you. So they have an idea of what they like. So I always say, just take that with a grain of salt, and then maybe going forward, share your work with your colleagues, people who are actually your peers, people who are actually writing like you are, trying to get out there like you are, and see what they think of it and what's working and what's not working for you.
Yeah, and that can work as well. I have a friend who is working on a novel series. He's been doing it for a long time. I've known him for a while. I remember when we first kind of met, he wrote one of the short films that I directed. You could say we kind of co-wrote it, but like it was all him from the inception. And then I just, as the director, I do have a say in like, let's change this thing or do that, like, so like, kind of co-wrote, but like he did it really, and it's all his idea. But I remember we were at a coffee shop and we were just talking, and he was telling me all about his book series.
Sorry, Nick. Hold on. I don't know if I'm still recording or not.
We had some good stuff in there.
I know we did. That's what, because I'm looking at it.
For me, it says 52:10, 52:11, 52:12.
It's still okay, it must be my screen, because my screen is like frozen at 23:02, and I'm like, wait, it's not moving. And I'm looking at the buttons here, and I'm like, it says end recording. I see the pause, so it's still recording on your end then.
Oh, it shows me that it's recording.
However, my screen. No, my screen. Remember, it didn't. My computer didn't die yet, but my screen did go black when I went downstairs to get my charger, and so maybe my screen is just frozen because it went black when I came back and I turned on the computer again. So it might just be stuck. Okay, cool. Then just keep going.
All right. So yeah, we were at this coffee shop and we were just talking about. This is before I was directing this short film that he wrote. And he was telling me all about his novel series. And I remember we went out and it was dark. We went out back to like go to our cars, and we just stood out back in the parking lot talking until like 1 a.m. about his novel series. And one of the best pieces of advice that he gave me was they call them beta readers, which is just people you're going to have read it now, and then you're going to fix it before it goes out to the general public. And he said, they're always right about what is wrong, but they're always wrong about how to fix it. Which is, I think there's a lot of truth to that.
There is. That's why whenever I approach any kind of editorial work that someone hires me, because I've been hired in the past to do editorial work for other indie creators. And the reason why is because, thankfully, word of mouth, because I understand at the end of the day, it's your story, right? I'm not going to tell you how to change it. I'm just going to tell you what's wrong with it and why it's not working, and you fix it, because It's your story. You know what you want to do. You have the vision in your head. I could suggest some things that might, maybe tickle your brain and go, okay, actually kind of cool. Actually, I'm gonna use that. But I never tell you how to fix it. It's all about just, hey, this scene's not working because we're at page 52 here, but on page 24 you mentioned this and it contradicts what you're showing here in 52. So you gotta
you fix that.
Yeah, you gotta fix that. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then of course asking questions like, why is this character saying this when earlier you had him not kill somebody because of his principles, but here he's killing somebody. What happened? then that gets him to think, oh, well, I don't know.
I
And then
wanted him to do it at that time. And
it's like, nope, you can't do that. You can't do that because A, B, and C. Exactly. So that's really great advice, actually. That's actually the most practical advice I heard regarding beta readers.
It's great advice he gave me, and he's right. But yeah, so I've just been trying to make things less, vague and just be more actionable. And so long story short, and I go off on tangents and I love it. But try to bring it back. The Joseph Campbell hero's journey, like I say, it has a lot of unnecessary stuff in it. It's complex. Dan Harmon, this is me giving flowers to all the people who gave way to what I'm doing. So when you learn about the atomic model in science class, you learn about all the ones that were getting closer to be right, but were wrong. If you remember, you learn about the plum pudding model, which is like, it's like this big like ball, and then there are neutrons and electrons and protons all kind of on the outside. It's like, plum pudding, we don't really know. Pudding is, we think of pudding in the wrong way. Pudding was totally different to them. It was kind of like a cake. But anyway, so like you kind of go through all those people that were getting closer to being right than anyone ever was, and you go through all of that. So this is what I'm doing. So Joseph Campbell had the hero's journey. Dan Harmon, who did Rick and Morty, Community, he wanted something that was more simple and symmetrical. And so he introduced what he just calls the story circle. And now people will call it Dan Harmon's story circle. Just because maybe story circle is just kind of vague. Like people might, it's hard to just attribute that to someone, or to like know what you're talking about specifically if you just say story circle, because technically speaking, hero's journey is like a story circle,
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
they always return to their original home at the end of the journey, but changed.
Yeah,
and inherently changed. They're no longer the same person anymore. But yeah, you're right. It's I think Dan Harmon just borrowed Joseph Campbell, because for me it's always who came first with it, and Joseph Campbell was the first one. He
fixed it, is what I would say.
Oh, he fixed it. Oh, I see. Well, but to be fair, Joseph Campbell's research was mainly just out of pure. It wasn't to help writers. It was just something he discovered in his research, and he just put them together and made a book about it. And writers,
I can see that.
Yeah, writers, just took them like, oh, I'm going to use this as a model to help.
George Lucas famously did. Yeah,
George Lucas was the most famous one who used it, because he's the first one to say it out loud. I used Joseph Campbell's, Hero of a Thousand Faces to help me write Star Wars. Hey again, everyone. This marks the end of part 1 of Just Talking. Tune in next week for part 2 of the interview with Nick Patch as he dives deeper into Dan Harmon's circular plot structure that fixes Joseph Campbell's hero's journey methods. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Don't forget to hit the like, sub, and leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
On November 27th, 1997, citizens from a small Midwestern town called Carpenter's Bay were shocked to discover that one of their own brutally massacred his family, as well as ending his own life on Thanksgiving Day. Dubbed the Thanksgiving Day Massacre, this horrendous crime would forever tarnish the good name of this peaceful town. However, underneath this story lies a dark secret. A secret involving a government cover-up to hide the real story of what happened that fateful day. As the old saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. Asset 13, The Last Thanksgiving, written by Julius Freeman, Art by Greg Warrenchak. Available on Global Comics. Evil has a new holiday.